Hello and welcome to 2CrazyMedia. I'm Matthew, and today I'm going to be giving my early review in progress of Ghost of Yotei Legends. Ghost of Yotei Legends just released this Tuesday, March 10th. Today is Thursday, March 12th, and I thought I'm going to get a sort of in progress review. I've done this with a few games already on the channel, so High Guard, and then a few more I've done sort of in progress reviews, and then I've also done a big review like for Resident Evil. Since this is not as big of a game as like Resident Evil Requiem, I'm instead doing a sort of smaller review in progress, where this is a sort of, I don't know if I'd call it a live service game, but it is like an online multiplayer game. So, and with these you kind of want like a lot of time to really give a full review, and since next week kind of Crimson Desert comes out, and I'm going to be playing that, and just once Crimson Desert comes out, every single week following, it's another big video game and all that stuff. So I felt like I kind of want to just get a review out now with how much I've played it so far before next week just becomes so busy with the amount of games coming out, and then just I never have time to give a review on Ghost of Yotei Legends because I do want to talk about it on the channel. So going to be talking about it today, sort of a review in progress. As a quick just refresher, if you may not know what Ghost of Yotei Legends is, this is a free update to Ghost of Yotei, which released last year. Well, the game released last year, and the free update just came out on Tuesday, March 10th. This was free for all players if you own Ghost of Yotei, and it is just an update. It's not its own game, separate thing. It is just a update that you can select on the menu of Ghost of Yotei. It is a multiplayer sort of mode to a Ghost of Yotei, where it is basically you can complete missions. There are like boss fight missions, which are called incursions, and also survival mode. Each one, so the normal missions, which I believe there's about four sets of 3. So there's about 12 missions in total. 4 incursion missions, which are like 4 big boss fights, and then 4 survival missions. So a lot of content, and kind of the normal missions are 2 players, so you can play with another player online, or you can just play solo if you want. And then the 4 incursion missions and 4 survival missions are all 4 players. So again, you can play them solo if you really want to, or you can play it with 3 other players. It's a class-based system where there are 4 different classes: Shinobi, Assassin, Archer, and then Mercenary, I believe, are the 4. So those are the 4 different classes. Each one has its own weapons that kind of comes with the beginning, its own abilities, like an ultimate and a passive, and like other abilities and all that stuff, and class abilities and kind of all that. So now let's get into the review. I like to start each review with kind of talking about how many hours I played with the game, what platform I'm playing the game on, and all of that, and then kind of going into my pros and cons before I give a score out of 10. So I have been playing obviously on just a normal base PlayStation, not a PS5 Pro, just a base PlayStation, which I played Ghost of Yotei on. If you don't know, if you haven't seen like my past video on like my favorite games of last year, Ghost of Yotei was my second favorite game. I thought it was like a 9.5 out of 10. I really loved Ghost of Yotei. I had like a few small issues with it, but for the most part, it was a fantastic game that I really loved. My second favorite of last year. And so really looking forward to Legends, kind of just getting back into the game, because I haven't really played it since I finished it. Or since like I platinumed Yotei a few months ago. I played, in terms of Legends, this is more of an estimated amount of time I've played, since the PlayStation clock kind of isn't always the most correct thing, and also since it has my hours in Yotei as well, normal base game, it doesn't count the hours in Legends separately. So I think I have around 5 to 6 hours in Legends so far, which is good. I've been, busy with school and all that stuff, so I haven't had all day the last few days to play it, but when I'm free time at night, it's like all I've been playing is Legends for the last 2 nights. It's been a blast. I've been like addicted to it. Like I cannot wait to finish recording this video and get right back on to playing more Legends. It's just that fun. So I've been playing it for the past 2 nights. I've got about 6 hours in it. In terms of how much I've played of the game, so there are 12 normal missions that you play with. There are 2 players. I have about 7 missions done and 2 of the bosses done. So Spider and the Oni, I've completed all of those missions and completed the bosses, and I've also started the first mission on the Kitsune. So that's what I'm going to be continuing and all that. And I've played 1 survival mission, and I will kind of get into my thoughts on each of those with the pros and cons and all that. So yeah, that's kind of my first initial stuff. So how about, I like to usually start with the cons before I get into the pros. So starting with some of the, actually no, you know what, this time? I'm gonna start with the pros. So, first off, just out of the gate, there's a shocking amount of content in this game, just for a free update to Ghost of Yotei. I never got around to playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which I heard was also pretty good, so I didn't really know what to expect with Yotei Legends at all in terms of content and all that stuff, and I was pleasantly surprised with just how much content there is at launch for Legends. It's wild that this is a free update to the game. Like, I'm sure, just like how they did it with Yotei, in a year or 2, or hopefully later this year, we'll get like a big story expansion where we get like a new map area, or a new just island fully, like we got with Iki Island for Ghost of Tsushima, which is great. Like, I wouldn't be shocked for that, but I was shocked with how much there is just for a free update coming out maybe like I think it's like maybe 5 or 6 months past like the launch of Yotei, I think, or maybe even less. And with this much content already being added is crazy. Like, I'm so shocked. As soon as loaded in, saw what there is to do, I was completely blown away with just how much there is to complete. And depending on how much I actually do complete, I'll kind of get into that later, and how much I feel like I want to do in the game, that's another question in itself. But in terms of just how much content there is, especially for the people who sort of get more into this game and are super hardcore about Yotei Legends, it's great for them, and I can see people spending days and hours on the amount of stuff there is in this game. Just from the amount of story missions, there are, like I said, 12 campaign missions. I'm only 7 in, which is wild, and like about 6 hours in the game, I'm only halfway through the amount of campaign missions there are, which is great. The 4 boss fights so far, the 2 that I've played, are really good, and I'm excited to see the other 2 boss fights. And then survival missions I'll get into later in the video, but also there being 4 of them, and I've only done 1 of them, is like, wow, that's a lot. And not to mention the amount of like challenges / feats in the game. They're called feats, and it's kind of like challenges, and there are different challenges for each class and each mode and each thing, and there's so many different challenges or like feats in the game that each mission completing, you would unlock so many different feats, and those and what you get from these challenges include different like skins for your weapons, like different sword kits or kusurigama kits, different clothing items, color variations for the suit, for the armor you have. It's all like a lot of I think it's all just customization for the challenges, which I think is nice. It's a nice way of kind of just, hey, here's cosmetics. I feel like the customization was a good part in Ghost of Yotei, so it's cool to be customizing the different characters and classes in Legends. I enjoy that part, and there's just so much. And with there being so much, they're not hard to get. Some are a little harder, and some have a lot of different like layers to them, where it's like, kill like 5 enemies and you get this thing, and then kill 10 enemies and you get this thing, and then keeps going on and on. So there's even more. It's like even more than you would expect by after just looking at it once. It's crazy how many challenges and like cosmetics there are to unlock. It definitely adds to a lot of the replayability, and it feels super rewarding. After every single match, I'm unlocking like 5 different challenges. It's great. It's super rewarding to just play a match, and then like I don't know, at least at the beginning, I don't know later into like in the game when you have a lot of hours on and you're just kind of going quick play over and over again, if the challenges and the amount you unlock start to slow down. I would assume so, but at least at the beginning, the first like 6 hours, I'm unlocking multiple challenges each match, and it is great. It feels super rewarding. So yeah, the amount of like what is called feats in the game, or challenges basically, is insane how many there are. It's great. Another fun thing that just kind of added to the amount of content in this is that in the hub world, which first, yes, there is a hub world that sort of acts as the menu, which is really cool. It's a lot of games trying to do this now, where instead of just having a menu where you can go to customize your classes and choose your class loadout and all that stuff, and then go to play, and then kind of like most games have, like Fortnite or Overwatch, for example, they just have normal menus. In this game, it's more of a hub world where there's not really a central menu. You can run to, there's like 3 different things in like the main part. One are like the challenges page. Another one is the classes, so you can go customize your classes and all that stuff. And then finally you have play, which has you choose what mode you want to play, if you want to play campaign, or you want to play quick play, or incursions, or anything like that, or survival. So I kind of like the hub world. I can honestly see it getting a little annoying later into the game once you're like, okay, I just want to get straight in. I don't want to have to run all the way there and do this and then run to press back out of that menu, run to the classes to customize that, back out again, run to the challenges to see if I've completed any challenges, back out of that, run back to play. Like that I can see that getting a little annoying later on. But at least for now, it's fun, it's cool. I think it adds to it, and plus there's some cool things in the hub world. Like you have a little training area with some like AI NPCs you can like play with, like to learn attacks with and all that stuff. There's different training modes, so which is great for, at least for myself, and I know a lot of other people. I haven't gone back to this game in a few months now, and so it was nice to kind of get a refresher on which weapons kind of pair well with what weapons, like which weapons do best with like other weapons, like the whole rock paper scissors mechanic in Yotei. And so that was nice to kind of have a refresher of that, and the game gives you that. There's also, what I really liked in the hub world is there's both a little area for bamboo cutting and also Zeni Hajiki bamboo cutting, obviously being from Ghost of Tsushima, and also Yotei as well. It's sort of that mini game where you press like the different buttons on the controller that it tells you to in like a certain amount, in like a quick amount of time to cut the bamboo. Super fun. I always enjoy doing that in the base game, so it's fun to kind of have that and have a leaderboard and everything so you can challenge your friends to it. That's a lot of fun. And then also Zeni Hajiki, which is sort of a new addition to Yotei, where it's kind of like a gambling mini game. It's a lot of fun, actually. I enjoy Zeni Hajiki. I'm not a big fan of like some of those like other modes in games, like Queen's Blood, whatever it was called, in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I wasn't the biggest fan of. I can't even remember the name. I just wasn't the biggest fan of it. But I really do enjoy Zeni Hajiki in Ghost of Yotei. So I'm glad that you can kind of play with friends online. I think you can. I don't know. I haven't actually played with friends in the hub world yet. So I don't know if you can do that in the hub world with friends or if it's just playing with an NPC. But just nonetheless, I think it's cool additions to have in the hub world just to have. But yeah, I think the hub world's fun. Might get a little boring and tiring pretty quickly on if you just want to go straight into the menu. Yeah, in terms of the campaign missions itself, I really do enjoy them. I think, honestly, they kind of remind me a lot of It Takes Two, which is weird, and kind of go with me on this one. It's a weird comparison to compare It Takes Two and the mission structure of that game with Ghost of Yotei Legends, but it is kind of similar in the way of, in It Takes Two, a big thing everyone lauded about the game, and one thing I loved, is how every single sort of mission or section of the game felt different. Each one added its own new mechanic that was only for that mission, and it was different, and it kind of added a whole new flavor to the game, a whole new aspect that you had to learn. And that's the same with the campaign missions. Obviously not on that grand of a level as something like It Takes Two or Split Fiction. There still is with each mission and like I guess each boss that you're playing through, there are different mechanics like in the spider, you have these trees that kind of have these weird vines that grow on the ground and can hurt you, so you have to dodge them and you have to destroy them, and like these walls you have to destroy as well, and adds sort of another whole bit of mechanic to the game that you have to watch out for. In the Oni missions, there are there's like two different abilities you unlock throughout the three missions. There are these like lightning bolt things that you throw, and it stops these, like, I forgot what they're called, but they're like Ouroboros or something that kind of will like cling on to the player if you like run through them, and it'll damage you and you have to roll to get them off. And then there's another ability where you can like pick them up and like throw them at something, and it adds a lot to the combat in fun, unique ways. It adds a lot to just the gameplay in itself in the missions, and I think it is a lot of fun. I thought it added as well to each of the bosses that I played. It was super cool, it was super fresh, super unique. Even the first Kitsune mission that I've played so far had a cool little mechanic in it as well. It was new and different to all the other missions. So I think that's awesome that each mission feels differently. I'm never like, dang, that's boring, I just want to get straight to the boss. Like, it's interesting, it's all fun and unique. And each one just feels different, which I think adds to the sort of replayability of it all. And not really replayability, like going back to each mission multiple times, but just kind of playing all 12 of these missions, which I did not expect like story missions to be in this game. Totally shocked by that, but pleasantly surprised and glad they're in it. And I think they're all fun. Like, I want to play all 12 of them. That's like one thing I do want to do in this game before, you know, I go on to the next game, is I want to at least complete all 12 of the story missions, because so far the 7 that I've played are fun and enjoyable. And at least I feel like I have some completion of the game, as I'm not the biggest multiplayer person, and one of my issues with multiplayer games is I just never feel like I'm ever aiming for something. And so at least with this game, it's like, yeah, there are actual dedicated story missions. I feel like I am aiming towards a goal, which is nice. For those who aren't as big into multiplayer games like I am and prefer more campaign-style single-player games, this really does feel like it, but with a little added multiplayer touch, which is fun. I think it's a great feature. In terms of the incursion missions, these are the boss missions. I really enjoyed them, the 2 that I played so far as well. Each one kind of has the mechanics that were introduced in the missions before that are fun. I think the one that I really liked was the Oni boss fight. That was a lot of fun, kind of combining a really cool boss fight design with also sort of the mechanics you learn with like the lightning bolt throwing and the picking up the things that like damage you and like throwing it at him, because at a certain point you can't damage him unless you like pick up the things around you and like throw it at him. I think that's really cool, and it adds a different flair and difficulty spike to the boss fight, which is cool and interesting. In terms of the boss fights themselves, I love the sort of art design of this game and the bosses and just the whole game in general. Ghost of Yotei is a very cool game when it comes to art design, but it is very realistic in a good way. I think what I love so much about Yotei Legends is that it takes sort of the world of the base Yotei game and kind of makes it very fantastical. You have just the maps and the worlds they've created with Legends is versions of, again, of the map of the base game. There's no like new areas that you're going to. Everything is ported from all the locations, the bases, the enemies. Everything is ported from the base game of the map, like sections of the map, but with their own added fantastical flair to it, like floating masks in the sky and a different sort of color palette and just weird things going on. I think it's really cool, it's fun, it's unique. I think it's definitely different. I just love how cool the art direction is. I think it's really unique. It reminds me a lot of like Marathon, where I didn't love the gameplay that much, but I love the art direction of it. And I do love the gameplay of this game, and I also do love the art direction, so I think that's great. But yeah, so love and just what they did with the bosses as well. Each of the 4 bosses right now currently in the game, the Oni, the Spider, the Kitsune, and then I'm totally blanking on the 4th one, but all 4 of them are bosses from the base game. Like, they're all like part of the Yotei 6, which is like the bosses in the base Yotei. And I think that's really cool that they kind of took all the bosses and made them fantastical versions of themselves. Like, the Spider is actually like a big dude with like 4 arms, or like even more. The Oni is this big guy with like a cool sword and he's massive. Like, it's really cool take on them all, and I think it's fun and it's unique and it's different. I think it's great. Also, the incursion missions are pretty difficult. I never really felt like I was having too much of a challenge playing on like the normal difficulty on any of the normal single player missions, which I'm not too mad about. I think they're all like perfectly fine. And especially for the length, each normal story mission takes around 9 to 15 minutes. About an average, I'd say, of 12 to 13 minutes. Most took around 13 minutes, but I had some that I breezed through really quickly because me and my like squad mate that I was paired with, we just quickly breezed through. We were doing really well and it took around like 9 minutes, and there were some that had a lot more to do in the mission and it would take us around 15 minutes, but usually around 13 minutes I'd say is the average of most, which is, I think, is a great length, and especially for 12 missions is awesome. And then the incursion missions, the boss fights, I would say for me took around, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes depending on how hard you and your squad mates have with the boss. There's a lot of enemies that come before it, which is fun and definitely adds more of the challenge. They're definitely more difficult than I'd say the missions are, but still not too hard. Like, I never once, like I died a bunch of times in the boss fights, but I never once lost. Like, thankfully, I had one of my squad mates revive me, or we had another Onryo token, which is basically if all of your teammates have died, you will like automatically use an Onryo token, and like each difficulty has a certain amount of Onryo tokens you can have, and you kind of all get revived, and almost like a second chance in a way, which I think is cool. It adds to sort of, it's difficult. Like, I found some missions to be challenging, but not too challenging in a way that it's like kind of annoying, which is nice. So yeah, I really like the incursions and the normal missions. I haven't been able to try out quick play, which is another feature. In terms of play, you have quick play, you have campaign, and you have survival. In terms of campaign is what I've been playing, because that's the only thing you can play at the beginning other than survival. And then quick play is once you finish all the campaign missions, you unlock quick play campaign, which I believe you can just loads you into any campaign mission. I think I haven't tried quick play out because I haven't finished all the missions yet. I don't know if it's something I'm going to play too much of, to be honest, since once I finish this game, I have a bunch more games coming out in the coming weeks that I'm going to check out and want to play and probably dedicate more time to. So I don't know if I'll go back to any missions and do quick play, but I think it's a nice feature for those who want to play the game more and want to kind of have this be like, I don't think Yotei Legends is going to be a forever sort of multiplayer live service game like games like Fortnite and Overwatch are for people, but I think it's definitely going to be a fun little detour, I guess, for some players, which is nice. And I think what it should be, honestly. On to the classes themselves and the gameplay. I think all 4 classes are fun. I've tried all 4 of them out in multiple different matches. It's the Shinobi, which is like the base like attack one. That's like the normal with a sword and an Odachi. You have and then you can unlock further weapons as you rank up with them. So you have the Shinobi, you have the Archer, who is like, has like a normal sword, and then I believe a spear, and then like the really powerful bow and arrow. You have the mercenary, and you have the assassin. All 4 are very fun. I think in terms of my favorite so far, I would honestly say the Archer, which I'm low-key shocked about. I thought like, oh, Shinobi, the normal base one, or like mercenary, I thought it would be like my 2 favorite ones. But honestly, I really, really, really like the Archer. I find it to be a lot of fun to pick off the enemies from far away with the really powerful bow that only the Archer has. The Archer, I believe, is the only class that has that super powerful bow, which I think is awesome and kind of keeps them unique. And that's another positive I really like about the classes, that they each feel unique from each other. My one big fear is that they would all have the same weapons as you do in the base game, and there wouldn't be much of a difference other than like the ultimate ability. But no, that's totally far from the truth, and that actually that they all have their own weapons. The Shinobi, as you get to like the higher ranks, you can unlock all the weapons for that character, But for the other classes, there's going to be at least one weapon that you just cannot unlock for them. And I think that's fun. It adds to sort of the difficulty of it all, and that's a big pro I do have, is that one of my only cons for the base Ghost of Yotei is I don't love the whole rock, paper, scissors weapon switching mechanic. I didn't love it in Ghost of Tsushima. It's probably my least favorite in that, and it's my least favorite in Yotei as well. I wish I could just switch, just kind of only use one weapon. I hate constantly switching to the different weapons as I find some of the weapons to be really fun, and I want to just kind of use that for the whole fight. I don't want to have to keep switching frantically, and I just don't find it to be fun in a way. It gets really boring really fast. And so with Legends, it really does fix that, where when you're playing as the archer, you only have at the start the spear and the sword. So you don't have the kusarigama or the dual katanas or the odachi. And so there are a lot of enemies, like the shield enemies, that you can only weaken really like stagger well with the kusarigama, or the spear enemies, who they recommend you use the dual katanas. You kind of have to, more so if you want to attack them easily and get their stagger meter up, you want to more so focus on parrying them or dodging their attacks and hitting them when like a perfect dodge or a perfect parry. And I really like that. I think it adds to the sort of difficulty of the game. It adds to the fun element. I really, really like it, and I think it helps with the combat a lot that you're not given every weapon. It's great. I really liked it, and also helps with the teamwork. It makes it so, say you're fighting a group of enemies and you have a dual katana and your squad mate has a kusarigama. Maybe you're gonna take on all the enemies that have a spear if you're using the dual katanas, but then your teammate is going to take on all the enemies with a shield because they have a kusarigama, and it adds to just the teamwork of it all, and I think it's great. I definitely think that helps a lot with sort of the gameplay of it all, and it definitely quells one of my negatives I have with the base game, which is awesome. Some other things I like with the class system is that I like how the gear that you unlock at the end of each match can be equipped on any given class, like giving you have the gear item for that class. Like, say I played a mission and I unlocked a new sword level. It's got a new new ability such as stagger damage, or can deflect bullets, like something like that. Or in different rarity, it could be uncommon, it could be blue, it could be purple, and has like a higher like class number to it. And so say I get that for, I'm playing as the archer, and I get it for the spear, a higher spear rarity with better abilities. I can then equip that on any other class that has the spear as well, which is awesome. I was worried that if I unlocked something for the spear, unlocked a new spear for the archer, I wouldn't be able to equip it for any other class that has a spear, but nope, you can equip it for any class, and there's no like, it's all duplicates, where I can equip the same spear ability, same spear on the archer that I can on any other spear for any other class, which I think is great. I was worried that, oh shoot, I can only like unlock stuff for that one certain class you're playing as at the moment, but nope, you can unlock it for all, and you can use each one as many times as you want for as many classes, and I think that's awesome. It's a great little feature and good touch. I think it's great. Super, super, super like that a lot. Alrighty. Again, like I said earlier, the appearance customization is good, like it is in the base game. I like most of the ultimates for each class. Each one feels unique and powerful. They're all really cool looking. I believe it's the mercenary that has a lightning strike. It's so cool looking. It's awesome. So super cool. Love that. And I just think they're all really cool. The shinobi has a cool one where he like goes like really fast to each like enemy and like shoot, like hits them with like one hit. It's like super powerful, and I think they can all really get you out with like a pickle. They're all great. So yeah, super like the ultimates. And then sort of final pro for Yotei Legends is that the matchmaking is quick, and I have enjoyed playing with other players, whether it's playing with friends or playing just with randoms. I haven't had an issue at any point. I haven't been like, oh, these players aren't great, I'm gonna quit out. Like, everything is fair. Yeah, no, haven't had any like server issues, no squad mates like leaving in the middle of the match or anything like that. It's all been good, and I recommend playing with people. You can play solo, it is an option, but it's just really fun playing with other people, whether it's random and you're not talking to them, or you are playing with friends and you are talking to them. It's just a lot of fun, honestly. Didn't think I would like that, but I have really been enjoying that. Alrighty, now on to some of the cons. I only have two cons, one big, one kind of small. I'll start with the small one first, and that is I did have one glitch that was really annoying during one of my missions. It was actually one of the boss missions. And with sort of that lightning bolt thrower that you unlock, one of the abilities, I had that equipped, and I had to go, well, no, I had the other ability equipped. And one of the things in the, one of like the objectives at the start of the mission was to get rid of these like things on the map called the Tero Bozu. And so you had to get rid of that, and me and one of my squad mates at the same time held down the same button to like get rid of it with the lightning bolt thing. But he did it first, so he did it, and so like it got destroyed while I was still holding it down, and instead of just getting rid of it like it usually would, the lightning bolt thing was stuck on my character's back and would not come off at all, no matter how many times I switched abilities, switched weapons, all that. It just would not come off, and I couldn't then use the normal attack button. It would not let me attack at all, which was super annoying, so I can only use heavy attacks for the rest of the match, which was super difficult, especially with the boss fight. But yeah, so that was a little annoying. It was like a little like, not really a soft lock, as I could still play the game. I just couldn't do any more normal attacks, which really did suck. So hopefully they can fix that. And I'm sure there's other glitches people have encountered, but that's so far the only one I have, and it was super, super annoying. Okay, it's time for my big con, I'd say, of the game, and that is the survival mode. It was fun for the beginning, for the first 2 waves, but after that, I did not enjoy it at all. The survival mode is 4 waves. Each wave has about 3 different mini waves a part of it. First 2 are definitely a little easier with less enemies and only maybe 2 of the 3 zones that you have to protect being attacked. The whole way the survival mode works is that you have, I don't know if it is for the other 3 maps, but at least for the spider map, you have 3 different bases that you have to, 3 different areas of this like medium to tiny size map that you have, that you're on, and you have 3 different like sort of like zones that you have to protect, and it'll tell you which enemies are going to which zones, which is nice. And you want to, it's like a little circle, and you don't want them to capture the zone, kind of like a domination in Call of Duty where you don't want to capture the area. And so if like the enemy captures all 3 of the zones, the survival, it's over, you lost. And so, or if you, I think if you all die, then it's also over. And one issue I had with that is that it was fun for the first 2 times, but with it being sort of 3 mini waves in the 4 waves in total, that's like a total of like 12 waves, and it got boring really fast. Like, it was like the same thing over and over again, with just harder enemies each time and more enemies, and it stopped kind of becoming fun after a little bit. It became tedious, it became a little boring. I wasn't having that much fun. I was just kind of wanting it to end. I was wanting it to be over, get done with it. And sadly, my squad, my team, we made it to literally the last wave of like the last mini wave, the final thing at the game, the final part of the survival mission, and we all died and we all lost. And same with the missions, the normal campaign missions. In order to do quick play survival, you have to complete all survival missions, and sadly that does not count to one of the 4 survival missions, even if you lose. So I think that kind of sucks. They are very difficult. They are much more difficult than the normal campaign missions, or even the incursions, I feel like. But I just didn't have as much fun with them. It took also 30 minutes. That's also, I think, what annoyed me the most, is that was a 30-minute survival match to get to the last round, like the literal last wave. And then to die in the last wave after spending 30 minutes of that, I was a little pissed, I'll be honest with you, that it didn't count. I think if it did count, I would be okay, but at least for me, it did not. I don't know, maybe if it glitched, if it does count, but it did not count for me. I was very annoyed about that. And 30 minutes to kind of lose on the last wave. I get it, it's supposed to be hard and difficult, but I was just, I guess the little I enjoyed survival mode, spending 30 minutes just to die in the last wave felt like a slap in the face. And yes, that is just me and my teammates not having to, like, just getting way too overpowered by these enemies at the end. Some of the enemies on the last waves, way too difficult, like annoyingly difficult. You've got all 3 area zones being captured at once in the last wave, and like only 4 teammates, and all 4 of you kind of have to like really expend yourself. And it's like, if you're just by yourself and trying to stop enemies from capturing, which in the final waves you probably most likely will be by yourself, at least 1 point defending. There's too many enemies, and just some of these enemies are total like tanks. They're total hit sponges. They take so many hits to die, and just have so much defense, and all that is just annoying. And their attacks are crazy fast, and there are some enemies at the end that literally kill you in 1 hit. That's how annoying it is. I was like, oh my god, there were so many enemies facing at the end. There was just a 1-hit kill on me, and I was just so annoyed. So fed up at that part. I just kept dying. So I think that's my big negative of the game is survival mode. I did not like it. But on to finally my overall sort of statement on this game. I am so far, obviously this is my review in progress. I'm still playing the game, still fully reviewing it, but I just think with the game is, and I've played most of the game already, I don't think the rating is going to go up or down. I think it's going to stay the same. So, I'm really enjoying Ghost of Yotei Legends so far. I first thought this would kind of be a one-day thing for me. That's what I said a few weeks ago on a video talking about all the games coming out this month. I literally said in that video, this is probably going to be like a one-day thing. But with the amount of content, I do want to spend more time on this. I want to play this for the next few days. I've already played it for 2 nights in a row, and I want to be playing it for the next few nights in a row, and going on to next week as well. But the one issue is I low-key wish there weren't so many good upcoming games in the next few weeks so I can spend more time playing this. But at the end of the day, I'm just worried I may drop it entirely once like Crimson Desert drops next week, and probably won't return to it later. With like the next few weekends being basically every week in a new game coming out, from Crimson Desert to Screamer to Pragmata to Sorrows to just a whole plethora of big games that I probably will spend multiple weeks on, like I did with like Resident Evil and playing, and I just don't think I would want to return to Legends. And that does suck. I wouldn't say it's a fault at so much of the game as just it's fun from what I played, but I don't find that much replayability with it in terms of playing the same missions over again. I don't care to rank up my classes to get the higher ranks and to get the more abilities. I am fine with what the game is now at the low ranks and at the first few hours. I think it's fun, but again, I'm not like the multiplayer guy to grind. I like having the story, finishing the story, maybe doing some open world content in a game if it is open world, and then being done. If it's something like Yotei that I really do like, I will platinum the game most likely, or have enough time to really enjoy the open world. But that's not what this game is, obviously. It is a multiplayer sort of live service, but not really update to Yotei. And I'm glad with what I got. I think there's a lot of content for players who are more into it than I am and want to spend more time with it. But for me personally, I just feel like after next week, once Crimson Desert comes out, and then every following game each weekend, I just can't see myself returning to this at all. Maybe once they drop the raid mode, which is supposed to come later on, maybe I'll check out the raid mode, but I can't see myself even doing that, honestly, at this moment. I still think the game is really good. I still think Legends is awesome. It's super fun, has a surprising amount of content, but just not at the top of my replayability list once I finish like all the campaign missions and incursions. So, yeah. I'm going to be giving Ghost of Yotei Legends an 8 out of 10. Pretty good, honestly. Still very, very good. So yeah, that's it for my review on Ghost of Yotei Legends. If you've been enjoying the game, let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts on the game, any opinions, whether you like it, don't like it. Love to hear your thoughts on it. If you want to play a match with me, also put in your comments down below. I'd love to play with some of you guys, get some rounds in with some more people in Yotei Legends for at least the next week, because it is a fun time, I'd say. Especially playing with friends and communicating to people. So yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. Stay tuned this Sunday for another news video with my co-host, Jason. We'll be back for that, kind of talking about all the news from the past 2 weeks since we didn't have a news video last week due to the Resident Evil spoiler talk. But we'll be back with a big news video. And that's going to be all. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and goodbye.